Organizing your storage can be pretty tricky in Dune Awakening, and with the, I guess not new, but with the circuit system in the game, you can utilize a bunch of ways to have it so that all of your refineries and crafting stations can pull from and output to different circuits. And in this video today, I'm going to show you how that all works. In my typical fashion of finding the knowledge in my videos, let me give you the quick too long didn't watch this entire video. So what we're going to do here is open up this medium ore refinery and go to the storage tab. This is going to be the same thing if you were to open up any chest, anything like that. Basically, this first one is always said to be read, or not said to be read, it is read as a input or an input. This is the output. So in this case, if I were to make from the medium ore refinery, it is pulling the jasmium crystals from anything in circuit 1 that has jasmium crystals, and then it will output to whatever circuit I want it to. The caveat to that is you have to fill all of these slots with an item, or just have it so that it actually forces that output to a different chest. So critical example here is if I had circuit 1 as my input, meaning my entire base, and I wanted to go to a specific chest. Hey, I want all of my medium ore refinery to go to this chest right here. I would set that right there to circuit 2. And then from there, this other portion, that's the output, remember? So we're saying then that the refinery can dump into this chest, and then everything outside of that can then be used across the entire base. It can pull from this chest. That is the too long didn't watch this entire video. If that's all you wanted to know, please feel free to shut the video down. I want to be respectful of your time. I'm basically going to go through more ins and outs of how this system works, how to fill that storage up, all sorts of little things, but that's really it. I don't want to just drag this whole portion on. So if that's all you want to know, please go ahead and feel free to head on out. Before you do, if you found the information in this video helpful, please don't forget to like, comment, or subscribe, as each one of those things helps me out in a huge way. Also, you can check me out on Twitch below, where I'll be streaming this game and plenty of others. Lastly, there are plenty of chapters in both the timeline and the description, so simply jump ahead to any part that makes the most sense for you. Let's get started on maximizing your storage in your base using circuits in Dune Awakening. Okay, so let's get into the weeds of this. I'm going to reset everything. Everything's back to circuit 1. For all intents and purposes, I know you're watching a video on how circuits work, but let me just tell you, you don't really need to invest a whole ton into it. You can just keep everything on circuit 1. If it's just you utilizing the base, it doesn't really matter. Honestly, I very rarely ever had to use circuits. The only time I did is when I had a ton of plastone being generated, because it generates in 250 stacks. And that was basically forcing it out of the refinery, because 2 stacks of it, or basically 2 production lines of this, would be 1 full stack, and it would just keep going through and going through. So it's really like one of the only times, anytime you're basically making anything that has, you know, X250, or if I were to go to anything over here, I don't know, I can't think of something like, where is all my vehicle repair things outside, but anything that would have a large quantity being produced as a result of the production here, right? So if I made a bunch of these spiced coffees, well, eventually it's going to fill the storage because it's going to meet a max stack. That's really when you want circuits, but you can kind of plan for that ahead of time. So if the system, you don't want to do it, it seems daunting, then you can go ahead and not watch the rest of the video. But this is when you would use circuits, or how they apply is basically giving all of your crafting stations, all of your refineries, an output so they can store any excess stuff in a location. Right here we have this medium ore refinery, and we've got 2 chests to my left and right. This chest is completely empty, and this chest has, let's just set it aside, the jasmium crystals that I want to use for this video and this example. Basically what we're going to be doing here is pulling these jasmium crystals into my refinery, and then outputting my refinery to the empty chest. And again, we're just to kind of look at this one more time to beat off a dead horse. That's probably the saying. You probably think of it of a different way, but you know, that's probably got to be the way it is. Circuit 1 is your input. Circuit 2 is your output. Now, you can make the argument that circuit 1 here doesn't matter. It does, because you're going to want to go out and harvest a bunch of crap, right? And let's say it's in my buggy. Well, I'm going to want to, hypothetical, I'm going to want to pull this jasmium crystal into any of my storage, which is outputting to storage 1. That is why the input of your crafting stations matters because it's going to pull from a shared source, in this case, circuit 1. So let's go back here. Let's go to storage. And what we want to do here is, before this will even push things to chests, we need to fill up these slots, right? Because we want to create the circumstance that you would use this in the use case, right? Like, oh, you know, the plasteel, like I said before. So we'll split this into stacks of 1, drop it over. I can probably do these separately. I will see if it stacks again. Okay, it doesn't. And do this again. And press E to deposit it quickly and not drag and drop like a buffoon. And if you do like a buffoon, it does that. This is a great instructional video on how to not do stacking. So now my refinery is at max, right? You can use anything you want to fill up the storage. If you want to use granite, if you want to use coins, whatever you feel the need to do, just fill the storage, go with it. Now, remember, with our medium ore refinery, we want to pull from that circuit 1. Circuit 1, for all intents and purposes, is our entire base. And now, because this is all full, I want, let's just hypothetically again say, I don't know why I've used that word twice. I want everything to output to circuit 2. I want all of my refineries across my base to dump into circuit 2. Now remember, circuit 2 isn't a set location, it's an entire circuit of locations. So if I come over here to this chest, I'm going to set the input to this to circuit 2 and the output to circuit 1. What this creates from a feedback loop is everything that goes into the refinery will now output to this chest, and everything in this chest can then be used by this and this, anything else that is also on circuit 1. Remember, circuit 1 is pulling, circuit 2, or I'm sorry, this left one is pulling, this left, the right one is pushing. So pull and push. That is what is going on. So let's put all that together and see how it works. The practical example here is, we're going to go over here. I'm going to press just one aluminum or one duralinium ingot. And you can see that that did not go into my storage. It went into circuit 2, and it's right there. Now, can this be accessed by the entire base? Like I said before, it can be, but let me show you an example here. So we have got this wind turbine directional. My duralinium ingots right now are 188. Let's just make another one. Let's just make two. Let's make another one. Let's make another one. That just went up to 189. So it went up by 1 because we only made 1, and it went into that circuit. This allows me to have, again, that place where all of these materials can dump so that I don't get that situation that you'll run into when you're making plastone or any kind of thing that's going to stack. That's the real life application of this circuitry. But how can the circuitry be used for more than just this? You can take a look here at my jankety, like halfway home base that I've got built underneath my new base that I'm building. And we've got all these chests. And really, you know, I come in from a mission and I just run down the line and go F, 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 and I quick deposit into all of these. So then all of these are set to circuit 1. So everything in this room over here can then just pull from it. So that's kind of how we all probably play right now, right? Just using circuit 1s. And I'm not going to lie to you and say that this video, this is how you have to play or anything like that. I don't use circuits. The reason I don't use circuits is because they're not too nuanced. It's really, it's like an on or an off switch. You're going to have everything dump into one location. You can't really pick and choose specific things like, hey, I want everything from this location to dump into here in a certain category. Like, okay, only copper items. Like you can't organize by, see this little icon right there? That icon tells you the material it's made of. You can't have any kind of filtering or any kind of thing on the circuit that says, hey, only copper stuff is going to go here, or only iron stuff is going to go here. So the actual application, I think, is more, it's aimed more towards at you that have a base that you share with friends, or you have a guild base. Maybe in those scenarios, hey, I've set up the guild base. Everything circuit 1 is fair game, and I've set the permissions accordingly. But everything that's like circuit 3, I as the owner have set that to owner only. So you can kind of play with those situations. And I think even what I just said is a little bit false, because there's no actual, the permission is on the location, on the actual on this. There's no permissions on the circuit itself. So it's me going, oh, hey, this is for owners only. And I set this to like only output to circuit 3, and circuit 3 is the owner's circuit. The only thing that's preventing anyone from using circuit 3 is the actual ability to tap into this thing that says access level. So I think even moreover, it's just a way to organize a series of chests to have stuff output like, hey, you know what? I want my refinery to always have a safety net, because I think the refinery is the best example of when you're going to use this the most. It's just, hey, I've produced too much crap. I've made a whole grip of duraluminium, and it overflowed, and I didn't want to lose the resource or the production. It's not even that you lose the resource. It's if, hey, you're going to go out on a big mission and you set, like, let's just say that you set like 50 of these to go. Well, 50 of these is going to fill this up, right? Because if you think about it, 2 productions of plastone is going to be 500, like I've said before. So 50 of them, you are filled up in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So 10 shots of production fills this up. And if it fills up and it doesn't have a proper output, it's just going to push it into any chest it can find if it's all set to circuit 1. So this is a way to keep things neat, so you don't come back to a base that if you go over to any of these, they're just filled to the gills with plastone. Like, oh man, you open it, it's just plastone fucking everywhere. Like this is an instance when you would use it. Another instance too is like maybe trying to set specific parameters for saying like, listen, and I think the true use case of this is attached to refineries, not so much your actual crafting stations. I don't think I'm going to be in a situation where I'm crafting a ton of things that are going to overflow. Definitely can happen, but I think that in the actual real world, quote unquote, I'm going to have it more be like, okay, I'm going to leave here and make that, 288 of these bad boys and come back to, oh shit, an overflow. Like that, those are the situations you're going to use it. So I think that, again, refineries are where circuits really thrive. And I guess too, on the closing note of circuitry, you do have water circuitry, but water circuitry is just, you have individual water capacity, which is whatever you're looking at. So in this case, it's my improved blood purifier or this water cistern. That water capacity is that number. The water cistern here can hold 250 or 25,000 milliliters. The circuit capacity is not customized. You don't sit there and go, cool, yeah, circuit 1, whatever it is. Like there's no circuit. The circuit capacity is the circuit across the entire subfief that you're in. So as long as it's within the parameters of your subfief, it counts for that circuit capacity. So that's how it works for water. Water is completely aside from the standard assigning input-output circuit system. But that circuit's in a nutshell. It's not too dense of a subject, but it is one I think is a little confusing because this doesn't say input and that doesn't say output. And I think that when we get some kind of nested circuits or circuits that can have specific parameters, specific filters, specific whatever set to them, it will be a little bit more useful. But right now, I just keep everything to circuit 1. Even my refinery, I had one emergency with that. The plastone thing that I keep bringing up was the actual emergency I had with it. The rest was just kind of, yeah, I've stacked up the 185 duraluminium and I'm going to make it all right now into whatever it is. So I could also probably see this being an issue with spice refineries in trying to do that in the deep desert while you're trying to do things. Those are other practical examples of it. But if you've had a lot of success with circuits, like saying like, hey, you know what? This is how I've set up my circuit system. All the refineries output to 2. All of the storage that the refineries output to outputs to 1. And I have this really nice system where I never have to kind of keep coming into all of these chests. I think that's kind of the big thing that circuits were probably intended to be, less movement between chests. But I think right now, like I said, it just kind of, it creates like, hey, if I really wanted to organize this base, I would set 4 of these Mamba Jambas to circuit 2, and I'd have all the refineries in the entire base output to those, and those would then output to circuit 1 again. That's the closest thing I could probably think of to really making the system work, to clean up all the crap in my other storage over here where it's like, hey, here's all these things that I found. Here's all these things that I found. And it doesn't have any kind of crossover this way. Like, I think this chest is a mess right now. Like, oh God, dude, look at, there's aluminum in here. There's plasteel. I live like a goblin. I got all these weapons. What is this thing? Nothing. No, that's okay. That a little bit neater, but maybe I did that right before the video, but either way. This is how circuits work. Go ahead and let me know in the comment section below if you have any great examples of how circuits are working for you. But as always, guys, thank you so much for watching here today. Have a good one and take care.